Good afternoon. At this time, I call to order a public hearing of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners on Monday, May the 2nd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. here at the Franklin County Justice Center in Carnesville, Georgia. We note for the record that we have a quorum consisting of all 5 commissioners present for the public hearing. So welcome everyone and thank you for coming this afternoon. At this time, is there a motion to approve the public hearing agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Foster has made a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Swales has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the agenda is approved as presented. The purpose of this afternoon's public hearing is to receive public comments for or against proposed zoning applications that will be considered for action at the board's tonight's regular board meeting immediately following this hearing. No action will be taken at this hearing, and all parties are welcome to remain after the public hearing and join us for the regular meeting itself, which will start around 6 p.m. We have one item on the agenda for this hearing. After introducing the item, we'll ask the planning director to present a description of the application as well as his recommendation and the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll ask the applicants, if present, to speak first on behalf of their request. After they have spoken, we'll call first for those who wish to speak in favor of the application, and then we'll call for anyone wishing to speak against the application. At the end of public comments for each application, the applicant will have an opportunity to come up and make a summary statement and offer any rebuttal concerning public comments that were made, and commissioners may also question the applicant at this time. Members of the public who wish to comment either for or against an application will be recognized and called individually, and you should come up to the podium, give your name and address to the clerk before you begin. All comments must pertain to the public hearing item that we're considering tonight. You may not speak to any other topic or application. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to speak, and we'll have a timer visible over here on the clerk's table so that you will know how much time you have remaining. Questions may not be asked, and speakers may not yield unused time to another person. Members of the public are required to follow the same rules of decorum as commissioners. This includes that you're civil and respectful and that you avoid personal attacks, and members of the public may not interrupt when someone else is speaking. Civility is very important, and while we recognize and encourage everyone's right to speak here at the public meetings, public comment will not be used as a forum to disparage others or make derogatory or discriminatory remarks against individuals or groups. Such conduct is a disruption of our meeting, and any individual who does so or otherwise violates the rules of decorum may be asked to sit down or leave. We just ask that you help us to facilitate a fair and impartial hearing tonight by being courteous to others. We're going to give each person sufficient time to express your concerns, but we want everyone to do so in a manner that respects those who have a different opinion. When you come up to the podium, please remember to address the chair. Don't turn around and face the crowd. All comments have to follow the 5-minute time limit. We ask you to observe that and respect it. We'll enforce that strictly. It's very important that everyone be given the opportunity to speak who wishes to, but it's equally important that everyone can hear what's being said. So our first item and our only item tonight is 3A. This is a rezone request. Gregory Rosser of 353 Ace Casey Road, Cannon, Georgia, has filed an application for an amendment to the Franklin County zoning map from ag intensive to highway business on an approximately 6.29 acre tract of land located on Bryant Park and Barther Road, and further identified as tax parcel 057-060B, C, and D. So this time, Mr. Delosier is going to come up and summarize the application for the board.
Good evening, gentlemen. As you said, Mr. Rosser is requesting to rezone this tract of land from ag intensive to highway business with the intent of putting some self-storage buildings on there. There will be some individual units and some storage buildings for like boats, RVs, that sort of thing. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approving it. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Any conditions?
They didn't. That's any conditions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This time we're going to ask Mr. Rosser if he's here to come up.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming.
The plat that you guys have in front of you, I guess, it shows 5 buildings. Depending on the how the money flows and everything, that may change. But we'll have some open air boat and camper storage, and then they'll have covered boat and RV storage. And then the 5 smaller buildings, 30 by 130, they'll be about 110, 10 by 15, and about 60 of the 5 by 10 storage. The buildings will all be professionally erected. They'll be on a cement slab. The entire property will be fenced, professional with a 6-foot fence, possibly barbed wire on the top. I don't know if that's going to be necessary. Lighting will be kept. Lighting and cameras, be a gate, keypad entry off of Park Road, and then off of Arcadia being a dirt road. I may have a roller gate for the larger RVs, just an easy access on the backside. The only thing on that Barthadia Road, I've got some rental properties, and then there's a chicken farm which has a trailer, so it's not. And then my son-in-law owns the 2 acres down at the end with 2 little trailers on the end, so it's a pretty low traffic road. The location of the buildings may vary a little. I haven't got a topo done. They may move actually away from Barthadia Road more. I was out there looking, but we'll determine grade and all when we get the graders out there.
So we have.
Yeah.
We're gonna have people come up and speak for or against, and then we'll have you come back up and let commissioners ask questions then.
Okay.
So if I don't want to cut you off. If do you have anything else?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This time we're going to call one at a time for anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this application. So if you'll raise your hand. Anyone who'd like to come up and speak in favor of this application? Anyone? Okay. Anyone else before we move on? This time we'll call one at a time for those who wish to speak against this application. If you want to speak against the application, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak against the application? Okay, we'll have Mr. Rosser come back, and if there's anything else you want to tell us, you can, or we'll have commissioners ask questions.
You can ask your questions. Yeah, that's about all I kind of thought.
Okay. Commissioner Franklin, do you have anything you want to ask?
You don't know how many boats and trailers.
I really don't. We're actually still working on the size of those covers.
Yeah. So it depends on the size of them that you can have the number there. So you don't know what.
Well, I've got proposed 350 by 100 is the size of those buildings. So some of those slots would actually accommodate 2, and then some, 1 with the bigger RVs.
Yeah.
So the number kind of varies with the applicants,
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And there will be some open air. It'll all be gravelled, all be neat, but some people will elect for a less expensive open air type of storage.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Foster.
Are you gonna build them all at one time, you think, or in phases, or just? Okay.
I hope. We're working on it with the SBA right now. The way I met with monies, and I think so. Yeah.
Everything's
I'm
gone up.
hoping. I got a folder over here that's going to determine that. So,
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Schultz.
Okay.
Commissioner.
There is a possibility you will be moving away from the Barthadia
Yeah,
property.
just for the topo, not shot, with the topo and trying to get the best use and best access. I think they're close. I mean, it's a pretty gentle slope. Only away from the dirt road, Barthadia, it slopes off pretty heavy to a natural drainage, which it kind of works for us on that side. So I think they may move away from Barthadia just a little bit, yes.
Okay. Any others? Okay, all right. That's all we have then.
All right, thank you.
At the end, and of course, you're welcome to stay for the regular meeting. That's when we'll be making the decision, the final decision on it. So at this time, without objection, the public hearing stands adjourned. We will reconvene for the regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you. This time I call to order a regular board meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners on Monday, May the 2nd, 2002 at about 6 o'clock p.m. at the Franklin County Justice Center in Carnesville, Georgia. We note for the record that we have a quorum consisting of all 5 commissioners present for the meeting tonight. This time we're going to have an invocation given by Commissioner Franklin. Afterwards, please remain standing and join us in the pledge. Please stand.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we praise you for another day, God. And God, I pray that you'll touch this board, God, that we'll make wise decisions, God, that will praise you and give you the praise and the glory, God, that you touch this board, God, and we give you all the praise. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time, is there a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion that we approve tonight's meeting agenda as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Westers made the motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and tonight's agenda is approved as presented. The next item on the agenda is a personnel report from the county manager. Mr. Turner, do you have anything for us? No. Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the prior meeting minutes from the following minutes. A budget hearing on April the 4th, 2022, and this was inadvertently left off our list, but it was one of the meetings we had last month, and we do have the draft minutes for it. Public hearing on April the 4th, 2022, a regular board meeting on April the 4th, 2022, a budget hearing on April the 26th, 2022, and a work session on April the 26th, 2022. All the commissioners have been provided with a copy of the draft minutes for these prior meetings. Do any of you know of any corrections that need to be made? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion. We approve the prior meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Swales has made a motion to approve prior meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the prior meeting minutes as presented signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the prior meeting minutes are approved as presented. This time we're going to open the meeting for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, any member of the public can speak on any topic of concern they would like to address to the board, with the exception that no comments are permitted on pending planning and zoning items, as we've just held or have held in the past a public hearing on those items. This is a comment section only. If you have questions, we're going to ask you to submit those in writing to our clerk, Ms. Finger, at the end of the meeting, along with contact information, and someone will contact you in the next few days. When you come up to the podium, please begin by giving your name and address. In order to facilitate the meeting and allow everyone an opportunity to speak, each person must limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. Each person may only speak once, and you may not yield unused time to another person. We'll have a timer visible on the table so that you can keep track of how much time you have left. Members of the public are required to follow the same rules of decorum as commissioners, and this includes being civil and respectful and avoiding personal attacks. Civility is very important, and while we recognize everyone's right to speak at a public meeting, and we encourage you to do so, public comment will not be used as a forum to disparage others or make derogatory or discriminatory remarks against individuals or groups. Such conduct is a disruption of our meeting, and any individual who does so or otherwise violates the rules of decorum will be asked to sit down or leave the room. We ask everyone to help us facilitate a fair and impartial meeting tonight by being courteous to others. We'll give each person time to express their concerns, but we ask you to do so in a manner that respects others who may have a different opinion. At this time, if you would like to make a public comment, if you will raise your hand, we'll recognize you one at a time and you can come up to the podium. Come on up. And remember, give your name and address before you start.
Wayne Jr. Young. I don't know what's not doing good or not, but I'm going to tell you something about it.
Okay.
I live up there on 33 near Meadow State Road. And I talked to you guys about this a couple of years ago, and it's still the same way. There's a big old hole on the left-hand side of that road going down through there. It's about as far from here to that table right there, out in the road, when they built that road, they put a cover pipe in there. And that cover pipe is deteriorated and fell in, and that road, every time it rains, that road just gets a little bit further out, that hole just gets a little bit further out in that road. There was boys up there the other day come in through there pulling fiber optic. They had their bucket up, and a guy in the bucket now, and the driver wasn't paying no attention. He run off in that hole, and that boy in that bucket, lucky he didn't get thrown out of it. And them tractor and trailers come through there, going down them chicken houses, coming back in. They'll wake you up during the night, especially if the driver that ain't never been down in there, hitting that hole. Well, ain't nothing I can do about dust, honey. You have your time, you don't now. Listen to me. And that hill, I know some of you guys have been down that road. What, when we're talking about that guy building chicken house down there. The hill come right out past my house. It just drops off like that and then right back up. When them chicken trucks one of these days gonna be coming out of there, and the school buses come in there, you're gonna have a wreck. If you don't get some kids killed, you're gonna be lucky.
That Deer Meadows Estate, that's a county road, isn't it? It is.
County maintains it.
County maintains it.
But they ain't no, look, the only thing it takes is 4 good speed limit signs, 2 on each side of the road, 1 on each side of the road, in and out. And that might slow them down a little bit. But there's some of them people that live down in there, they'll come out of there 50, 60 miles an hour.
Well, if there's a hole there, we need to fix that. If there's a hole there, we need to fix that too.
Yeah.
So we'll have them look at that, see if we can do something about that.
I talked to Bobby, the motor grader operator. He said, Junior, ain't nothing I can do about it. He said that it's got to be dug up, put a new pipe in there.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have our staff look at that this week and see if that's something we can do.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Young. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment? Come on.
I wasn't thinking about making a comment when I came to the meeting, but since it's open comment, I have a problem. Our county marshal has been taking up signs on the roads all over this county. You can't even hardly tell that there's an election going on. He's on state roads. According to the sheriff of Franklin County, he said that the county has no jurisdiction to take up any sign on state roads. He's also taking up signs on county roads. He don't know where the right of way is. So it's something that needs to be done about it because they don't realize that these are the people that vote.
We have talked about this, and he is actually following the law. He does have jurisdiction to take them off of any right of way, any public road, whether it's a state road or a county road. And to my knowledge, he's doing that. He's not targeting any one person. If he sees that sign and it's a clear violation, he's removing it. And he does have the authority to do that. We do hold the signs so you can't come and pick them up. Probably it would be better if the candidate did, because they're not going to know where the individual signs came from. But that's a good time to make sure that people that you give out the signs to, that they know, because a lot of people don't know that you know that that's a violation, and they may put them somewhere where they don't belong.
Maybe the sheriff don't know where the rules either. Because he told me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to him.
The states
but
always took them up.
They do.
Sometimes,
They do.
I've never heard of anybody in the county ever taking up a road, a sign on a state road.
Yeah. You're right. The DOT does take them up religiously. Thank you. Anyone else like to make a public comment? Anyone? Okay. We'll move on to the next item the items for discussion, number 7. First one is 7A, a water issue. Olivia Freeman of Mountainside Drive has been asked to be placed on the agenda to address the property issue. So is Ms. Freeman here tonight? If you guys will come up, just remember that you have 5 minutes, and that includes question and answer time. In any item, you're welcome to give those out, but they will become part of the public record. So I don't want you to think that you might be returned.
That's fine.
Okay.
Make sure y'all can understand what we're talking about.
Thank
So
you.
you guys have the
Appreciate it.
the first page of our drawing our civil engineer work on. You're coming down Mountain View to the corner of Skyline, in the middle of the property. From one side of the road to the other side of the road, there is a county concrete drain that runs kind of diagonal across the roadway. From the center of the roadway to the end of the pipe is 39 feet. So I don't know if your right of way is 40 or 50 feet, but either way, it is on the property, and all of the stormwater is draining into the middle of the property. We understand that at some point in time, this was a community lot that had a community well on it, and we assumed that once public utilities came in there, this lot was abandoned and owned by an individual, and we purchased the lot knowing that the well would have to be filled in, which we're going to do. The assistance that we're looking for is come up with a solution to fix the stormwater. There's multiple pictures in there. You can see where the water runs right through the corner of the property all the way to the bottom of the property. At some point in June, the county had a tractor on site and actually dug out on the property to help the flow of water that was not county property, was not in the right of way, it was actually on our property. So we're just looking for some assistance to a solution. The last page, we gave a couple solutions, but from what our civil engineer is saying, these were a couple of the best options, but we're open to any solution to stop the stormwater from draining to the middle of the property.
Do we know what the right of way is on that particular road?
60 feet.
60 feet. So is there something we can do to redirect the flow off of their property?
The two recommendations we made when we went out there was to, as soon as it comes out of the outlet end of the pipe, to actually make a berm and turn it as fast as you can to the left to get back to Skyline Way. That was one of the recommendations we made. The other one was to, if they wanted to, it would be at their cost to continue the piping at that angle to run it to Skyline Way over there.
So it would go along Mountain View Road to the pipe would?
No, the pipe would through the property. It goes through the property like
right.
it does, currently does, but they would just continue to pipe it to get it to Skyline instead of it just being, the water coming out across the property.
And the issue with that is the septic field that we have. If you're looking at the front page of the drawing, the septic field we have is where it says drive. Our septic field is in that corner. So that would really, really limit the space that we have for a house with the stormwater drain running through the property.
If we install would the berm be something that the county install to push the water?
Since it'd be off the right of way, speaking with Ms. Freeman, we kind of one of the independent contractors, this will be off the right of way for them to do that and turn it back over there.
Yeah.
The water, when it goes across the property, it ends up on Skyline. So them turning the water quicker to go to Skyline wouldn't affect the drainage, area on Skyline already.
Could we turn it on the right of way? If we were still on the right of way, could you put something there?
We would technically, I think, with our equipment would be on their property to go across that angle right there.
Yeah.
For a portion.
Okay.
And if you look at page 6, where it notes the two solutions that we thought might be most useful for the county, because obviously this is a gravel road, but on the right picture, it shows that's where the pipe starts, and it goes over to our property where that red line is. If you turn that to the corner where it goes towards Skyline, or you just take that pipe out and just keep it going the natural ditch that goes down, which shows on the top left.
It stays on the opposite side of the
on
property.
that side.
On Mountain View.
It doesn't even need to come over when there's the
Is that Is that a possibility?
I would say, I would be against that because the pipes that are below that keep going down the hill may not be sized properly to handle that much water flow. So you'd be asking the property owners below that to change their pipe size as well to handle that volume of water that was designed to cross the road right there instead of coming on down Mountain View.
Are the pipes for a given driveway? Are they the county or they belong to the owner?
There are county pipes that were probably more likely installed by a private individual
On their property.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
The driveway pipes be on our right of way, but most of those, we didn't install. If we did, it was before my time.
Okay. Let us. We appreciate the drawings, but we need to take time to digest this and talk to our staff and see, and talk through this. And I don't think we can do it in the short time, for this meeting time frame. So give us some time to do that. Okay. Thank you. We appreciate you bringing it. Okay, the next item is 7B, a rezone, and that's Gregory Rosser of 353 Ace Casey Road, Cannon, Georgia, has filed an application for an amendment to the Franklin County zoning map from agriculture intensive to highway business on an approximately 6.29 acre tract of land located on Bryant Park and Bartheta Road, and is further identified as tax parcel 057-060B, C, and D. So we're going to have our planning director, Mr. Delosier, come up and talk to us about this.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. So as you heard earlier, Mr. Rosser's wanting to do storage units, storage buildings on this tract of land. Highway business is the correct zoning for it, and the planning commission recommended to approve it. They didn't attach any conditions to it. That's my recommendation as well.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Delosier, Mr. Wester, Mr. Swells?
I don't.
Mr. Franklin? When he presented to us, he talked about, he wasn't quite sure. He may move the buildings around to different locations, or maybe even the number, if I understood him right, the number of buildings. Does he have to come back for approval to you to do that?
Once the rezone is approved, the site plan is ideally what he would like to do, but as long as he can meet the requirements for that zoning district, then we can handle that at our level.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? Okay, at this time, is there a motion to act on the application by Gregory Rosser to rezone tax parcel 057-060B, C, and D from ag intensive to highway business?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we rezone from ag intensive to highway business for Mr. Rosser.
Okay, so to approve?
To approve.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wester's made a motion to approve the application by Gregory Rosser to rezone tax parcel 057-060B, C, and D from ag intensive to highway business. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the application by Mr. Rosser to rezone tax parcel 057-060B, C, and D from agriculture intensive to highway business signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the rezone application is approved. The next item is 7C, a rezone request. Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated of 196 Bel Air Court, Winder, Georgia, has filed an application for an amendment to the Franklin County zoning map from agriculture intensive to residential single family on an approximately 23.99 acre tract of land located on State Route 326 and further identified as tax parcel number 014-045C. This item was given a public hearing and then considered by the board in a regular board meeting on April the 4th, 2022. The board tabled the item at that time and referred the application back to planning and zoning for further consideration. So, Mr. Delosier, if you'll.
Yeah, so we referred back to the planning commission. The planning commission heard it again for the second time. I believe they were satisfied with Ridgeline Planning's explanations for some of the questions they had, and they recommended to approve the rezone.
Yeah, what's your approve? Okay. Any conditions that they add to it?
They did not add any conditions to the rezone.
Do you recommend any conditions?
No, the conditions would be on the variance.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Delozier? Commissioner Western?
I guess it's not necessarily for you, it'd be for Ridgeline Development, but I'm not a huge fan of the panhandles.
Right.
But, I mean, I've been looking at this, and, I mean, could we not solve the panhandles by coming in with, I mean, even a gravel road? I mean, you could even expand what you can get in these front lots if you put a gravel road that you kind
Well, we could, but we developing a subdivision off of a state highway. We do require it to be a paved road. If it's going to be a county maintained road, that's what's part of our. In the past, it wasn't that way. There's been some that have been approved that way, but now new roads being built in the county for development purposes are called out to be paved, unless that road is going to be designated to be a private drive, which then you get into, you have to set up some HOAs, some POAs, the property owners have to maintain the road. There's deed work, plat work that has to go into it to ensure that everybody understands, hey, that's a privately maintained gravel road. That kind of gets, that's not the ideal situation.
You work with the state enough to know, are they okay with that many driveways
So
coming off of a state road?
I submitted it to the DOT, and that was part of what I sent y'all with this. Their recommendation was there'll be some shared driveways along the way. Is what it'll be. Like those panhandle lots, pretty much from the right of way to the property line, there'll be a shared driveway, and then it'll split at the property line. Is what they said they have to do.
So the state says they have to do that?
Yeah. The DOT is the one that's going to regulate all the driveways coming off of that onto the state highway, and it was submitted to them, part of their initial submission. They did get the comments back to me. I think it was after the first meeting. They got them back late, but they'd be okay with it as long as there was certain driveways would be shared.
Okay, Commissioner Foster?
No, everything now.
Mr. Franklin? So I'm assuming there was a big talk about or disagreement about whether or not the subdivision would result in flooding of that land. So how was that adequately explained?
Correct. Well, there's pretty much all that property down through there is part of the Hudson River drainage basin.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, before they get a development permit, before developers get a development permit, there has to be, engineered soil and erosion control work that will have to be approved through the state to prevent flooding on that tract of land. We did have a couple of the planning commission members go out there and actually visit the property, and they were pretty well satisfied that property is not causing the flooding on the joining tracks.
But if the board approves it, then before they can build, they've got to have those plans approved by the state. Okay. Are there any other questions before we move? Okay. This time is there a motion to act on the application by Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated for an amendment to the Franklin County zoning map from ag intensive to residential single family for tax parcel number 014-045C. And our options are to approve, deny, refer back to planning and zoning, or table until another time. But we do need to take some sort of action.
I move to deny application.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Swales has made a motion to deny the application by Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated for an amendment to the Franklin County zoning map from ag intensive to residential single family for tax parcel 014-045C. Is there a second to the motion?
I second that.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Franklin has seconded the motion. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to deny the application by Ridgeline Land Planning to rezone the property in question signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the rezone application by Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated is denied. Because that application was denied, that renders the variance request that they made a moot point. So I'm going to call for a motion to table the variance request by Ridgeline Land Planning. They filed a variance application for an increase in panhandle length on flag lots on an approximately 23.99 acre tract located on State Route 323, further identified as tax parcel 014-045C. So is there a motion at this time to table that item?
I'll make the motion to table that item.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Foster's made the motion to table. I'm sorry, not to table. No, I'm sorry. I'm losing track of it. The motion is to table the application by Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated. So is there a second? Okay. Commissioner Swells has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion to table the application by Ridgeline Land Planning. And again, this is a variance application to increase the panhandle length on flag lots, but that application is rendered moot by the fact that we denied the application to rezone. So all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the Ridgeline Land application, or Ridgeline Land Planning Incorporated application for a variance is tabled. All right, the next item on the agenda is 7E, the final plat review for May Lane Estates. So at this time, Mr. Delozier, if you'll go over that with us.
So the final plat for May Lane Estates, that was the rezoning and preliminary plat that was approved last year. There's been no major changes to the plat. There's been some minor stuff they've had to adjust for health department and some drainage and stuff, but no major changes from the preliminary plat. So really, it's just a matter of approving the final plat.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Wester? Commissioner Swells? Commissioner Foster?
No.
Commissioner Franklin? Okay. This time, is there a motion to act on the final plat for May Lane Estates?
I'll make the motion to approve the final plat for May Lane Estates.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wester's made a motion to approve the final plat for May Lane Estates. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the final plat for May Lane Estates signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Are you, Mr. Franklin, you're opposing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. The motion will carry 3-1, and the final plat for May Lane Estates is approved. Okay, the next item is 7F, the Unified Development Code update. So we're just going to ask Mr. Delozier to kind of update us on where we are in the process.
So the final draft is in. It'll be heard by the Planning Commission on May 19th, which would put it before y'all on June 6th. The development code and the zoning map are both complete. They're available. There'd be an email document. It's not something we're going to print off, and it's a large document. I am going to work this week. Over the next day or two, I'll have both of those on the website uploaded to view in the draft version. So the public has a chance to review it and make comments. I'm sure. There's going to be some stuff on that zoning map that I'm sure is not. There's some stuff that we just have no way of knowing. So it's good to get the public's eye. There'll be some, I'm sure, some changes that have to be made once we get the full review of it. But yeah, that's where we're at with it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
So those questions people want to ask, will I be in a meeting they get to ask those, or will they come through you? Or?
They can come, and yeah, you can do the public hearing portion of it, but they can come to the office and ask, email, call.
Okay.
I've already had 2 individuals ask for it. I sent it to both of them. Ideally, if there's questions about big questions about it, you can come talk to me and I can try to explain it to you. And there's big issues with the zoning map, and there's something that we missed, which, again, I'm sure there's gonna be some stuff that we missed or needs to be changed. It'd be better to do that prior to the meeting, so we can get kind of a list of, hey, we're gonna make all these changes, or all these need to be updated, and we can kind of make that into one motion, so we don't have to, come back to it or relook at it or something like that.
Right. So planning and zoning is going to hear it May the 19th. So that gives us plenty of time to look at it and suggest changes, but definitely before the BOC meeting on June 6th. So that gives us time to read it and think about it and decide if we want to see changes or make suggestions or ask more questions. Any further questions for Mr. Lozier? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the county manager's report, so we're going to turn this over to Mr. Turner.
Real briefly, with kind of financials, one thing we're working on, just to give a heads up to, is that we're working on just updating and creating some of our financial policies. This is just really to solidify the operation and how we do things. Of course, with an accountant being a new position for us in this last year, we just want to put some standards in place to how we operate from a financial perspective. The hope would be that we're working in draft right now, those, but the hope would be that we are able to have that to you by the work session of this month with possible approval as we get into June. It's kind of lengthy, so the hope is we'll be able to work through all that in draft form, but we have about, I think, 20 to 25 policies that we're looking to either update or implement. Again, these are kind of just the standard for financial operations, just so that we just have a really good baseline of how we should operate.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions? Any questions? Okay. Zoe? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Turner. The next item are announcements. So, Mr. Turner, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, just wanted to make sure to re-emphasize National Day of Prayer is this Thursday, May 5th at noon at the courthouse. So it's with the organizer today that it is 100% confirmed. So just wanted to verify that information with us today.
Okay. Anything else?
And then just as it does say with upcoming meeting, the budget hearing, the hope is that's going to be our final budget hearing with approval then again as we get to the June 6th.
And are we planning that at right before the May work session, the third one?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Foster, Commissioner Wester, do you have any announcements?
Just to verify, the Airport Authority forensic audit was on the years from 2012 to 2018 and does not reflect on the current Airport Authority right now. I think there's been some miscommunication out there that,
right.
Of what years it was. So I just wanted to sort of clarify that so that everybody knows it's 2012, 2018, and not the current Airport Authority.
Right. The county made a change in leadership and in our appointments, basically. We can appoint 2 members to the Airport Authority, and we made some major changes in 2019, sometime around June, May or June of that year. And so subsequently, we called for the forensic audit for 2012 to 2018 for those fiscal years. And so that fiscal audit, the results of which we've referred to the GBI, are not reflective of the current Airport Authority as in its current form or operation. Any other?
No.
Okay. Mr. Swills?
No.
Mr. Foster?
No.
Mr. Franklin? Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wester's made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster seconded the motion. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion will carry 4-0, and we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.